Speeding your way quick as a greyhound, chatting more than a chihuahua, leaping through obstacles like a border collie, and barking out loud my pet parenting messages. I am Denise Fleck, the Pet Safety Crusader, and I am here to help you make a difference in the life of an animal. As we continue in these Facebook Live broadcasts for the month of January, we have the pleasure of Haiku in the background. And actually, he's been napping because he just had a bath, if any of you saw the tease earlier today, because he was getting ready for his appearance, so to speak. And I thought he wasn't going to come alive, but at the sound of my voice, he had to put out a little bark there. So I hope you'll enjoy seeing him, and he'll enjoy being seen by all of you. As we continue talking about National Walk Your Dog and Train Your Dog Month, I hopefully have a few treats in order for you today. Hello, Paul, honey. Glad to see you joining in. I want to talk about and remind and refresh about some of the things you should keep in mind while you're on your walk. But additionally, I'm going to introduce you to a company called DigIt Store, dig-it-store, that makes a great innovative collar and leash, and I think it can really help with your walking the dog. So we're going to talk about that in just a little while. Hello, Barbara. Glad to see you, and thank you, yes, for asking about Haiku. His forehead looks much better if he'll actually turn around at some point. For those of you that didn't know, he did have surgery. He had a little melanoma here between his eyeballs, but it looks like they got it all, fortunately, and we're just going to keep an eye on him. But that's one of those reasons I'm always impressing upon people that you need to do those weekly head-to-tail checkups of your pet. This one happened to be on his forehead, but he did have a sarcoma on his chest about 1.5 years ago, and if I hadn't been feeling him all over, you know, looking for those lumps and bumps with his heavy fur coat, I never would have spied it, you know, early on. So it's just really important you take that time, put on a new pair of eyeglasses or eyeballs, just fresh eyeballs, so to speak, and really give your pet a once-over, you know, every week or every couple of weeks. Because when we live with them and see them every day, just like on us, we don't want to notice the gray hairs popping out, and those subtle changes aren't, you know, so visible to us. So we really need to take that time to sit down when we're calm in a good space ourselves and to do that head-to-tail checkup to see how they're doing. I'm so excited. Georgine has also joined us from DigIt, so we're going to get to her in just a moment, but she's going to be here to answer any questions if you have them. And as always, those of you that are here live, please comment and ask away. But I know a lot of you watch this in the replay. I'm so grateful for you for doing that. I've only been doing this for 3 weeks, and it seems like a lot of you are interested in, you know, some of what I have to say. So I'm grateful. So if you leave messages afterwards, I or Georgine or, you know, whoever is appropriate will certainly get back to you and respond to them. But just, you know, continuing on our National Walk Your Dog Month, I just want to remind you to breathe as you walk. Not only is it great for you to inhale that oxygen and your pet as well, but, you know, pets are just so savvy, dogs in particular, about reading our moods. And they react according to it. And if we see another dog coming towards us, like we've talked about quite extensively this month, and we tighten the grip on the leash, we're sending that negative, fearful energy down that leash to our pets. So it's important that we just, you know, keep an upbeat, confident tone, stay calm, and not get that death grip. If you see animals coming, what should you have been doing before that, hopefully? Tuning into your environment, staying alert. It's just so important. That's why those cell phones need to go in the back pocket. No texting, no talking when we're walking the dog. Really just pay attention to your surroundings so that you see what's in front of you, what's behind you, because that will give you the opportunity then to go on another path. It will, like we talked about, allow you to get a garbage can between you and the oncoming dog, to you know, turn a corner and go a different way before you're even seen. Remember, every time a dog is loose or stray, I'm not in any way implying that that's a vicious or a mean dog. It could be, we don't know. But also what sometimes happens is you're doing everything right with your well-trained dog on leash. He may be reactive to other pets, or he may be super friendly. But if an unknown animal especially comes running at full speed towards you, he may be protective of you and show his teeth. Or he may, be fearful himself when that animal's coming because he's attached to a leash and can't get away. So since he can't flight, he's going to fight as far as that goes. So, I'm not giving stray dogs a bum rap as far as their mood or temperament. I'm feeling bad for them that they don't have a human who's, keeping a watch on them. But it can happen both ways. It can also be your good-natured pet who now suddenly feels threatened that starts the fight. So we want to avoid conflicts, as best we can and at all costs. So by staying alert, that's a great thing that will, help ward off problems. Also, just case out your neighborhood, so to speak. Know when most people are walking their pets, if it's before everybody's dashing off to work, or if your neighborhood's maybe got more people that work or stay at home and walk a little bit later in the morning, and pick a time that's optimal for you. If you have a dog and you have a safe environment and you have people that will work with you to introduce their dogs to yours, well, it can be great fun to walk together as a small pack. But just do everything right, because when you mess up sometimes, it's really hard to take a step back in the animal world and make things okay. Additionally, you want to make sure your pets are always secure in a proper collar, leash, harness, whatever it is you choose for that walk. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. Some people do prefer a harness in that it's not pulling around the dog's neck, and especially if they're having to suddenly move the dog away from an oncoming dog, they won't be choking or causing problems to the esophagus or the throat area. But there are some collars, if they fit appropriately, and if you don't have that death grip, that you're keeping calm, that you can really maneuver and work with your dog very well without causing him any harm whatsoever. Also, there are color signals. Did you know that yellow is a signal that's supposed to say your dog may not be pet friendly and for other dogs and people to stay away? It's not universally known yet, but if there's a yellow ribbon on the leash, or if the doggie's wearing a yellow bandana, oh my gosh, niece Cheryl is here today too, one of my beautiful, beautiful nieces. Hello, glad to have you joining in. That yellow color does signify that, you shouldn't approach that dog. Let him go about his business. Something else you might do while you're on your walk, remember I was talking to you about practicing your training. It's a great time to do those sits, stays, comes, even do the doggy push-ups that I talked about, where with the treat in hand, you make the dog sit, go down to a down, make him come back up to a sit, up to a stand. It just really exercises his mind and body and gets him to focus on you, to watch you. So, when there's something else going on, you always want the dog to watch you, and that's a cue you need to learn to, or he needs to learn from you, so that you are the most interesting thing, not any other dog or cat or squirrel or person. That's a real important thing. You can also teach your dog a cue to come behind you. Remember, I even talked about some of those people out there. And you know what? I may even be one of them that thinks, every dog loves me, but I know better than to approach a dog who doesn't know me. And some people will just come running up, oh, every dog loves me. Let me hug and love your pet. Well, every dog and every person don't necessarily want to be hugged on all the time. And a great cue to teach your dog is to not only come behind you and sit, but have him kind of sit between your legs so that his head is between your knees or your calves. I think even the most exuberant person who wants to meet a dog is less likely to reach into the area of your crotch to pet the dog if they don't know you. So that's kind of a deterrent for the person too, and it gets the dog under your control. Really important little tips that we've talked about. So go back and look at some of those other videos from this month. I'm just trying to think. Oh, and there's one other thing I wanted to mention. If a dog and a person is coming by on a leash and they seem overly eager to meet you, and you just, for some reason, don't feel that, your sleepy dog or your overreactive dog or whatever dog wants to meet them at that point in time, a great thing you can do is put your dog in a sit. and then just calmly tell the person, please walk by without acknowledging my dog. I'm trying to teach him to avoid distractions. So you kind of turn it into a teaching game. You don't hurt any feelings by saying, hey, I don't want to meet you, or I don't want my dog meeting your dog. And it's really, ends up being a good lesson for your pet. So I hope some of those are very, informative and add on to the things we've been expounding upon all month. But now I want to talk to you about some of the tools you need. I always talk about the tools you need for first aid, your pet's first aid kit. Well, today I want to talk about the tools you need for a walk, and that's an appropriately fitting collar and leash one you feel good about. And I recently happened upon a company called DigIt, and the owner and creator is Georgine Javornik, and she's joining in here via typing, I guess we would say, today. So she's here able to answer some questions for her. You won't see her beautiful face, but she can answer any questions or comments you have, so please feel free to type in. And I want to start off by reading a little story about her. I believe that every being we meet in life, both human and non-human, adds to our journey, even if the meeting is brief. After losing Shaylee, my black Labrador retriever, at the age of 5, I was inspired to make DigIt a reality. I started DigIt to provide special, unique products for dogs and their owners, products that celebrate the mutual love of sports and the spiritual connection which exists between people and dogs. For me, DigIt is an opportunity to turn a negative experience, a medical misdiagnosis that caused Shaylee's passing, into a positive but giving part, as earnings help save other animals' lives and make a difference in their well-being. I feel no animal deserves to die before their time, especially when it can be prevented. In memory of Shaylee, my heart dog, we donate 1% of the proceeds to support animal shelters and clinics and help to pay for medical expenses for animals in need. Today, through February 14th, Valentine's Day, if you put Gray Muzzle, my personal heart organization, in the code box at www.dig-it-store.com, Georgine, in memory of Shaylee, will donate to help at-risk senior dogs. So about that, I just, commend her for her work, for her love to go on. I think almost all of us that are in some aspect of the animal care business had a special dog, or plural, that got us going. And for her, you just heard that story. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about the products she creates. I just took Haiku's off. She was kind enough to send me some samples to show you, and let me just put out here, I have not been paid for, doing this little presentation about the products. I've just seen them, and I think it's something that a lot of you can really benefit from. After a day in the water and the mud, most dog collars, develop a wet dog smell, or they actually stink. But biothane collars do not. Biothane coated webbing makes DigIt products cleanable, durable. They're waterproof and maintenance free. You get them wet, you just wipe them right off. Those of you that saw the tease earlier today that I did while I was bathing Haiku, I was able to keep his collar on him. Of course, he was attached elsewhere, but this was just, another way that I could keep his collar on and keep him secure. And I had no worries about it getting stinky or wet, and I was just able to dry it right off. So they rinse clean in seconds. They won't mold, they won't mildew, and they don't absorb odors. So they always smell, clean and fresh, which is, just a wonderful material that they're made of. They're very strong. They've sustained, I think it was a 450-pound pull or strength test, so they are very strong. I'm not going to say, they're totally indestructible. A dog left to his own devices can do amazing things. So there's very few things that are self-destructible in that realm, but they don't have that wet collar smell, which is great. They don't really get dirty. If they're too long, you can actually, with sharp scissors, trim them so there's not too much of a flap. And you can, with a leather hole punch, you can make additional holes if needed to make it fit, you know, more securely for your pet. Sometimes, you know, our pets are like in between sizes, and it's great to have the ability to do that. So, well, here's the collar Haiku's been wearing for about a week now. It's reflective, which is really nice when we go out for our nighttime walks. They come in 15 different colors, and they come in 2 sizes, the 3/4 inch and the 1 inch for, you know, our bigger best friends. What's really, really cool about them, though, is they have a unique set of hardware that's just totally different from probably anything you've seen before. They have, let me show you the buckle first. Let me get the 2 different buckles so you can see them. There's the square buckle with the cross, and there's the sun buckle. Now, the cross design, a lot of you may think it has a religious connotation. If that's what you want to think it is, you know, that's great. That's what it can represent to you. Georgine's thinking, and Georgine, please, you know, chime in here if I'm saying anything incorrectly, but she thinks of the cross design as protection, strength, and love. There's even an additional charm here you can add that also just emphasizes that. It's kind of, you know, a generic heart here. It's not, you know, for any kind of religious denomination, so to speak, but you could certainly have that engraved with your pet's name, or you can purchase it from DigIt and have it engraved at that time, or just, you know, do it after you get it back to your house. But think of it as, you know, protection and strength and love. But, you know, it's also a great thing if you happen to have a service dog. That cross can kind of represent that. You'll see there's even a collar that has that design on it. And you guys, knowing me, what else might this cross represent? Should I give you time to type it in? Pet Safety Crusader, what do I teach? First aid. So, you know, that's something else, obviously, that I, you know, thought was a really cool connection. But here, just so you see, so there is that square buckle with the cross, and you can get the additional charm if you'd like it. Then there's also this lovely sun buckle, which represents warmth, happiness, and brightness. And, you know, these are all things, the love, the protection, the happiness, the brightness. These are all things that our dogs bring to mind with us. So it's fun to have, you know, something that represents it. And you can see I'm holding up some of the various different colors that you might be interested in for your pet, but there are 15 different ones. So I will show you more in a minute. But what I want to elaborate on more is the D-ring portion of the buckle. And this is what is just totally awesome. I'll show you this one that we've already got Haiku's tags on, but then I'll show you one without so you can see better. But there's actually like 3 parts to it. And you see there's a very separate area where you hang the tags. What's great about that is you don't ever accidentally hook the leash through the rings, the split rings that you have the tags on, which isn't secure. It's a separate area, and it's actually a little thinner, but it's by no means thin enough that it would break, but it's thinner for a specific reason. It's thinner so that these split rings that hold the ID tags can fit through there without splitting far. Sometimes when you have to take a split ring over a larger ring on a regular collar or leash, you open it too wide and it never springs back to its, you know, firm, tight configuration, and then those tags end up falling off. So that's what's really cool about these. That really accommodates them. And then I want to make sure I have all of her points here about it. It can, you know, hold the tongue of the collar as well. So let me just buckle this up, and that extra part can stay in here and hold that. So that holds that very securely, and if this is ever too long, like I said, with a pair of sharp scissors, you can cut and round it off and make it fit more appropriately for your pet. And it keeps the ID tags separate. You won't stretch out those split rings. And this actually stands up very well like this. So if you need to come quickly and grab the leash and hook the collar on it, you don't ever have trouble fumbling, finding where to attach it. So that's just an awesome, awesome thing. coupled with the fact that, you know, it's biothane, it's no dog smell, no molding, no mildew, no real cleanup. Now, since I've attached the leash, let me show you a couple of cool things about the leash. I thought it was dog hair, but I think it's my own hair, excuse me. On the leash handle, you actually have a ring, so you can put your key ring on here, your doggy cleanup bags, which I hope everybody's using because that's what makes us good ambassadors for our animals if we're cleaning up after them. But it then also has a second ring floating here. And those of you that have taken my first aid classes know one of the things I always like to teach is putting a figure 8 harness on a pet that doesn't have a collar and a leash on. I've taught you to do it on cats, on rabbits. It's a great way to capture that little chihuahua because if you just lasso the leash around him, it, you know, keeps widening up and you end up losing him again. Well, although this leash has a clip, it isn't a slip lead like I often teach with that. Because of this extra ring, whoops, trying to make it visible here for you guys, you can hook the hook onto that ring, and you've created that same thing. And what's cooler about it is that you also now still have a leash. If you were just doing this like I've taught you in the past, where you put the hook in the handle, and now you have both a collar and a leash and a way to hold on to the pet, what you're having to hold on to is the hook, which is uncomfortable and not really secure for you to hold on to. But with this, by hooking it on that other O-ring, whoops, it's sliding away from me here. Sorry, my hands are really cold and I'm not maneuvering very well. But by hooking it here, you see you have a collar that goes securely around the neck without choking, and you have the leash to hold on to. So it's just really, to me, an awesome possum product. So I really hope you'll check out dig-it-store. Oops, I did mess that up. dig-it-store.com. Hey, Scott, I see you joined in. I noticed you a minute ago, but I didn't get to say hey. And when you go to digitstore.com, put in the code word gray muzzle between now and Valentine's Day, and Georgine and the nice humans at DigIt will donate money to at-risk senior dogs. But I'm not done yet. Those of you that have companies, whether it's pet sitters or groomers or trainers, these leashes can become, you know, a really useful training tool, but they can also, you know, be a promotional product for you. So Georgine can sell these to you wholesale, and here are just some little samples, but how they could actually stamp your logo or your company name on it. So I just wanted you to see that. And Georgine's telling me here all products are US made, and yes, because I was all tongue-tied, dig-it-store.com. So make sure you have that right, and remember code gray muzzle. Well, and you know what? That was the next thing on my note. She beat me to it. I did say all our products are USA made. So I just want you guys to walk for health, walk for pleasure, make it fun, and keep it safe. That's just the most important thing about it. Our pets may not always do the things we want them to do when we walk them because they're overrun by their sense of smell. You know, I've told you before that we may not even notice the smell of sugar in our morning coffee, but a dog can detect a spoonful of sugar in an Olympic-sized swimming pool full of water. So that's quite an intense sniffer they have. And there's so much out there in the world for them to sniff and basically check their pee mail when they go for a walk. So I want you to enjoy and let them have some fun, but of course they need to know their manners and they need to listen to you for safety's sake. But just always, you know, be using your happy voice, never yanking those collars, and just, you know, being kind and loving to your pet, but being alert to your surroundings so that you can keep yourselves both safe. I thank you for listening to me. This was my first product share, and it's something I'm just very proud of, and Haiku's been proudly wearing his reflective collar. So we wanted to share DigIt with you and hope you'll check them out. And remember, again, if you order by Valentine's Day, not only will it be a gift of love for your best friend, but you'll be helping at-risk senior dogs. So I'm going to sign off for now, and I'm going to tell you to please tune in Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to talk to you about Woof Tracks. It's a really cool app. I had a wonderful conversation with the CEO this morning, and it's a way for you to walk for your health, for your dog's health, and again, to raise money for underprivileged dogs. So I'm just checking through here. If anybody has any questions, Georgine is here. But she and I will both check back in the replay, because I know a lot more of you have been catching this in the replay. And again, I thank you for it. Please share it with your friends. I'm trying to see if this Facebook Live stuff catches on, if you're enjoying the content I'm sharing, or if you're just getting tired of my face and voice. Love you all. Paws crossed for pet safety, and I'll see you on Monday.